An Article 5 Constitutional Convention of the States, or nullification, which Thomas Jefferson and James Madison said were the rightful remedy. Well, let's take a look. Constitution Convention has never been done. Nullification has been done all throughout the history of our Constitution. You go back to the Kentucky-Virginia resolutions by Thomas Jefferson and James Madison. That would look really good up on a chalkboard. If there's anybody out there that's a national figure that uses a chalkboard, that would look great up on that chalkboard. And I love you, Glenn, I do. But a Constitutional Convention of the States, has never occurred. Now, what we're being told is that we don't have nothing to worry about. It'll be completely under control, which is just absolutely not true. Because once the gates of hell are opened up for this, 38 states just got to get together to get together. That's it. They can make amendments, they can add stuff, they can delete stuff. I don't understand what good is going to come out of this in the current situation. You take a look at my state here in North Carolina. Well, I do know an example would be the Tampa Convention. You elect a committeeman, committeewoman, chairman. They go to these Republican national conventions and they vote. This is kind of like selecting a delegate process. And what did they do? Well, there's this guy named Ginsburg who changed the rules of the Republican Party to stamp out the Tea Party and the grassroots for Willard Mitt Romney. Guess who he works for now? You wouldn't believe it. Barack Hussein Obama. Oh yeah, Ginsburg. Ginsburg, the guy who destroyed the rules for the Republican Party, now works for that. And, well, I'd say there's 3/4 of the states that came together to make that happen, wasn't there? So, the rule that 3/4 of the states just got to get together, 38 states, is going to somehow protect us is absolutely ludicrous. I mean, why wouldn't they get together and enforce something like CISPA or the Real ID or whatever it is and put it into the Constitution? It could very easily happen. Why wouldn't it? States like mine, North Carolina. Just an example, my state, we need 38 states. North Carolina would have to be one of those states. What are we doing here? Common Core? Oh yeah, our Republicans. They took what Bev Perdue had started with Common Core, and then our Speaker of the House, Tom Tillis, brought it back up, and every single Republican, other than Glenn Bradley, voted for it. Yeah. Wow, you don't say. And we refused to nullify Obamacare this entire year. Now, there are some states out there doing the right thing, like South Carolina, Missouri, and others, and they are nullifying Obamacare. And if other states would stand up against the federal government, it would be just like the Real ID Act, and the federal government would not be able to enforce it. But there is a push. There's an odd push to go away from what Thomas Jefferson and James Madison called the rightful remedy and go to an Article 5 convention, which could end up with, let's get rid of the Bill of Rights and let's give you the Communist Manifesto. That could happen. Anybody who says it couldn't happen is ridiculous. It's like saying, well, airplanes are safer than cars, so you're totally safe. Well, they do crash from time to time as well. And I'm really disappointed. And a lot of good folks out there that I actually believe in that say, you know, well, sometimes you just got to take a risk for freedom. Folks, I'm all about taking risks. I'm not about betting the blood of our ancestors and our posterity on an Article 5 convention just so we can schmooze up to some neocons that have been pushing this the whole time. Look, Mark Levin has come a long way from the Mark Levin of just a few short years ago, the neoconservative Mark Levin. Now he's trying to do a little something different because, well, neoconservatives are all 6 foot under the ground and the dirt is just ready to be put on top of them because the neoconservative movement started by Irving Kristol and William F. Buckley Jr. is totally dead. And yeah, John Birch Society was right when they said our government was completely infiltrated by communists. But let's not revisit that. Let's talk about the fact that if we can't get 38 states to nullify Obamacare, why would 38 states come together to make an amendment to the Constitution in that manner? Now, let's take a look at what they might do. Well, they're all bought and paid for by special interests, the billionaire companies that are forcing the toll roads on states like my state here in North Carolina, which our Speaker of the House is promoting and allowing to happen. Our governor of North Carolina, who is pretty much known as Mr. Agenda 21, somehow our state is going to send people there to do the right thing, but our state won't do the right thing right now. Okay? Again, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison. I just have respect for these guys. Mark Levin says nullification is some liberal thing, blah, blah, blah. Look, neoconservatism is a liberal thing, okay? Levin, you have supported liberal things. Thomas Jefferson and James Madison said nullification is a rightful remedy. How is that a liberal thing? Why would somebody like Mark Levin be saying such bad things about nullification? Well, they're doing it down there in South Carolina. Hey, South Carolina, Tom Davis, all you boys down there, Nikki Haley, it seems like she's going to sign the bill. You guys are liberals. Didn't you know that? And here's another thing. Convention of the States, folks, you have to call it a Convention of the States or they lose their mind because they don't want you to know that you're actually opening up the gates to hell and anything can go, any amendments can be made, any bad deals could be struck. You have to call it that. You don't have to call it nullification, baby. You ain't got to do that. All you got to do is make it happen. You can call it, we don't like Obamacare bill. You don't got to call it nullification. And it's really odd that these national figures pushing this refuse to inform their listeners that nullification is not secession, but it's the rightful remedy according to Thomas Jefferson and James Madison, and it was used to nullify the Fugitive Slave Act. I think I might have already said that before, but hey, who knows? Who's keeping track, right? The Constitution, they say, Constitution, yeah, they might not follow it anyway. So we're going to do all this and they might not follow it anyways. Wow. Oh, cool, man. Cool. We might end up with the Communist Manifesto, which we know they will follow, which they're already following, and they're not following the Constitution. But instead of nullifying it, oh, wait a second, I know. You know what it does? It gives cover to people like Pat McCrory and Tom Tillis in my state and in your state. Who are the RINOs in your state? Let me know in the comments down in the video here. Yeah, who are the RINOs in your state that refuse to nullify Obamacare? But they say they're Republicans and, oh man, you send me to Washington, I'll vote against it every time. Just like Robert Pittenger, he said, I will not vote to nullify Obamacare, but then he came back and said he would. And then he said, you're unethical, son. He called me unethical. Yeah, unethical. I bet you that he would be fine with this Constitutional Convention of the States because the odds of it ever producing anything good are very slim, and the odds of it producing very bad things are very great and numerous because yeah, right now it might seem like a great idea, but when all the power and all the money in the world start flooding money into there, yeah, you can't control it, baby. So, there's your dilemma, folks, and there's your, I guess, your answer. A constitutional convention is the most dangerous thing that could possibly happen. I'm not really willing to risk everything just so everybody can have fun and say, hey, in my day, we had a constitutional convention. It was a national thing, a national solution to state-issue problems. We can nullify Obamacare. Quit giving the rhinoceroses cover so that they don't have to. Because the more you do, the more they'll love you. They'll hand you cookies like the governor does. You can't protest these guys. You can't force them to do the right thing. The only way you can force them to do the right thing is you say, we're calling a meeting. We're calling a press conference. If you don't nullify Obamacare in our state, I don't care if you got to call a special session or whatever. You find a way to nullify it tomorrow or we're voting your butts out. This is Chuck Suter of ConstitutionalWar.org, and you've just been schooled on nullification and an Article 5 convention. Think like Jefferson, not like Levin.